So sometimes you need to try and determine whether a pot is a linear taper pot or a log or audio taper pot. It's not always possible to tell from markings on the pot. Sometimes they're covered in solder or not present or just different than you might have expected because standards are not always standard. Luckily, it's pretty easy to tell. First of all, we'll measure the total resistance of the pot by using our multimeter on the ohm scale and measuring between the two outside lugs of the pot. That's giving us the resistance all the way along the carbon track, and that's the total resistance, that doesn't change. So here we have around about 511k. Now what we do is we switch to measuring between two of the lugs here, and that's measuring between the wiper, which moves along the track, and one end of the track. So that resistance will change depending on where the knob is set and where the wiper is on the track. So we're starting at nominally 0, 5 ohms essentially is 0. So if we set this on halfway on its travel, so the wiper is roughly halfway along the track, we're seeing a resistance of around 266, which is roughly half of the 510 or 11 we started with. So we know that the resistance here, half of the resistance and half of the travel on the wiper are the same thing, so the resistance is increasing linearly. So from here, let's have a look at the other one. Again, we'll measure the total resistance along the carbon track by checking the two outside lugs. And in this case, we've got about 485k. Let's switch to the other lug. So again, we're measuring between the end of the carbon track and wherever the wiper happens to be. On the linear one, halfway on its travel is half of its resistance. Let's put this at halfway on its travel. And we're reading a resistance of about 46k, so considerably less than half. Let's just, for illustration, increase this up to about 3/4. And at about the 3/4 mark, we're at about 280 kilo ohms. So considerably less than 3/4. So the resistance here is not increasing in a linear fashion, it's increasing in a log fashion. It's got a taper that doesn't move in a straight line from 0 to the total resistance, it goes in a curve. So log pot, linear pot, set the wiper halfway on its travels. If it measures half, it's a linear. If it doesn't measure half, you got a log.